Jody McDaniel, Chief of the Environmental, Economics, and Demographics Branch at the National Agricultural Statistics Service. This is the second of 3 2017 Census of Agriculture data highlight videos. NASA's intention with this series is to offer a few remarks on the census history and the data collection effort, then dive into the data with a tour through the count and distribution of farms and ranches, a look at economics, some insights into demographics of those involved in farm decision-making, and conclude with information about additional data products that are now or will be available over the next few months. Just a brief history on the census. Conducted once every 5 years, the Census of Agriculture covers virtually every aspect of U.S. agriculture, providing a complete count of the nation's farms and ranches and the people who operate them. It looks at land use and ownership, production practices, expenditures, and other factors that affect the way farmers do business and succeed in the 21st century. The first Census of Agriculture occurred in 1840. The 2017 Census of Agriculture is the 29th in the series and the 5th census conducted by NASS after the transfer of authority from the Census Bureau in 1997. The Census of Agriculture is a very valuable public resource. The power of the census is the ability to visualize and understand important change for key topics in agriculture at national, state, and county levels. The data are used by producers and all those who serve American agriculture to inform decisions about farm assistance programs, technology development, farm advocacy, farm policy, agribusiness setup, rural development, and so much more. The census reports on agriculture in all 50 states and U.S. territories. It also summarizes information for other geographic areas of interest, such as congressional districts, watersheds, and zip codes. In addition to the primary report, the census also has a number of special studies which take a deeper look at certain segments of the industry, such as aquaculture, horticulture, irrigation, and local foods. Today, NASS published the most complete data resource available on American agriculture, with nearly 6.4 million distinct data points and several million more to be released in the near future. Now let's focus on a few of the economic measures from the census: total value of production, crop and livestock sales, and farm income. As we all know, weather conditions can affect farming operations and volume of commodities available for sale. You may recall that in 2012, a sizable proportion of the U.S. harvested cropland area experienced drought affecting U.S. yields for major field crops. In 2017, extreme drought was limited to parts of the Dakotas and Montana. Hurricanes Harvey, Irma, and Maria made landfall. In 2017, yields for several major field crops were at or near record levels. Crop prices for major field crops were down substantially between 2012 and 2017. Overall, livestock prices were modestly lower between the two census years. These factors can affect the sales category a farm falls into for a particular census year. Before we jump into describing the economic data of the census, let's recap what you heard about the number of farms in the first video. In 2017, there were 2.04 million farms, a 3.2% decrease from the 2012 census. We observed the same trends of decreasing mid-sized farms in terms of their size in dollars as we saw for the mid-sized farms in terms of acres operated, data also discussed in the first video. All farm counts by sales categories showed decreases except the smallest and largest grouping. These changes continue long-term trends of declining numbers of mid-sized farms and increasing numbers of the smallest and largest farms. Similar to the graph we just saw, this one shows the same farm counts by value of sales in the left panel. The right panel shows just how dominant the contribution of farms with $1 million of sales or more are to total value of sales. In fact, more than 2/3 of the almost $389 billion in total value of sales in 2017 come from farms with greater than $1 million in sales. These 77,000 farms represent less than 4% of the total farms in the United States. The share of sales coming from farms with value of production greater than $1 million increased from 41% in 1997 to 69% in 2017. In terms of total value of production, California remains the top agricultural state by far, showing an increase in sales of $2.6 billion from 2012, unlike most other top 10 states. California produced 12% of the value of all agricultural products sold in the United States in 2017, or $45 billion. The top 10 states contributed 54% of the total value in 2017. There are several states with similar sales just outside the top 10. There were 3 states with more than $24 billion in sales. They were California, Iowa, and Texas. This is a different look at total value of production. The value of agricultural production is certainly not spread equally or with the same intensity across the United States. For instance, in the map panel, one can easily see the impact of the Texas High Plains cattle feeding area or the cluster of poultry production in the extreme southwestern Missouri and northwest Arkansas. The first 7 of the top 10 counties in terms of total value of production are all in California. In fact, Fresno County has a higher value of agricultural production than 25 states. The top commodity in Monterey was vegetables. Milk was the top commodity in Merced. Cattle was the top in Weld County, Colorado. The top commodity category for the rest of the top 10 counties shown in the table is fruits, tree nuts, and berries. Now let's discuss total value of production increasing across time through 2012. We should note that all the values shown are in nominal dollars, that is, not adjusted for inflation. Compared to 2012, total value of production has decreased slightly overall. We can also see how the value of production is distributed between crop and livestock production. Livestock value of sales is showing an increase over 2012 while crop sales are down. Next, let's look at the value of crop sales in more detail. Total crop sales in 2017 were $194 billion, down 9% from 2012. Most of the decline in crop sales were due to a large decrease in the dominant category of grains and oilseeds. The value of grain and oilseeds was down 19% to $107 billion. The fruit, vegetable, nursery, cotton, and woody crops categories all showed increases over 2012. You can also see by crop category the top state and its contribution to the United States total in that group. For example, the California contribution to the total fruit, nuts, and berries category is nearly 70%. Moving on to livestock value. Total livestock sales in 2017 were $195 billion, up 7% from 2012. All livestock categories showed an increase in the value of sales compared to the last census. The largest increase was for hogs and pigs, up 17%. Texas, Georgia, California, and Iowa each led the way in the dominant livestock categories of cattle, poultry, milk, and hogs and pigs. Let's focus on the top 10 commodities by value of production in 2017 for a minute. Out of the top 10, corn and soybeans each alone are bigger than any other crop category. Corn and wheat show the largest change in value downwards, while poultry has the largest positive increase between 2012 and 2017. We can now turn our attention to farm production expenditures. Expenditures decreased slightly from 2012, down $2.5 billion. The largest 2 expenses for farms are feed and livestock purchases. The livestock purchases include both breeding and non-breeding animals. The largest changes in expenses from 2012 include a drop of $13 billion for feed, which occurred due to lower prices for crop commodities. A large, significant increase in cost occurred for hired labor, up $4.6 billion from 2012. Thus far, we've discussed the total value of agricultural products sold and farm production expenditures. The census also collects data on the receipts from government payments and farm-related income. These data allow the calculation of net income at multiple levels of aggregation, including state, county, and congressional district tabulations. At the U.S. level, the one income category that showed an increase overall is government payments. Between 2012 and 2017, net income for farm operations decreased by $4.4 billion. USDA is investing heavily in broadband, and high-speed access is a top priority for the USDA and rural America. The census captures internet access on the farm by type. Overall, internet access increased from 70% in 2012 to 75% in 2017. Generally, internet access rates are higher in the west and northern states. Note the low access rates on and near the Navajo Nation. Access through higher speed options, such as cable modems, mobile, and fiber optic, increased from 2012 to 2017. Almost all of the categories showed significant shifts since 2012. A few items to note before this part of your data tour comes to a close. In addition to the primary report, rankings, maps, and highlight publications released today, we will be rolling out additional data products in the coming weeks and months on the NASS website, www.nass.usda.gov/ag census. These products include state and county profiles, congressional district rankings, watersheds, and more. As you'll see on our website, the census report is provided in a variety of formats. The data can also be accessed through our web-based query tool, QuickStats. However, for greatest ease of finding specific census data, especially if you're looking for trends between census years, try our new census data query tool. Later this year, we will release the data from 2 Census of Agriculture special studies, the Irrigation and Water Management Survey and the Census of Aquaculture. Producers will start to hear about data collection for 2 upcoming special studies, Organics and Horticulture, later this year as well. Currently, Census of Agriculture data collection is being conducted in Puerto Rico, the U.S. Virgin Islands, Guam, American Samoa, and the Commonwealth of the Northern Mariana Islands. These data will be published early next year. We are already preparing for the 2022 Census of Agriculture, so NASA is soliciting input again on content. To provide your suggestions, visit our Census webpage and click Ag Census Solicitation for input in the left-hand menu. If you're a new farmer or rancher who was not included in the 2017 Census of Agriculture, now is the time to sign up to be counted in the future NASS surveys and censuses. To do so, go to the NASS homepage and click the Be Counted button on the bottom of the page. And as always, follow us on Twitter at USDA_NASS for announcements about surveys, data releases, and live stat chat opportunities. In the third and last video, we highlight farm demographics. Thank you for watching the Census of Agriculture Data Highlights series.